Hello, awesome students. We're going to continue our discussion of invertebrates with the phylum Echinodermata. Echinodermata basically means spiny or spiky skin. Now, with the echinoderms, this is the first time that we actually see an endoskeleton. The endoskeleton is made of calcium plates that has protruding spines. As you can see here in this brittle star and the sea urchin here, you can see all these different spines that are protruding about the animal. Now, in the echinoderms, there are 5 classes. The sea stars, which we commonly call starfish, the sand dollars, the brittle stars, the sea urchin, and the sea cucumber. I want you to take a few moments to view the video at this link right here that actually takes you to a video that shows different features and characteristics of the 5 classes of echinoderms. Now, as with the other organisms we've studied, the echinoderms also have a symmetrical component to their body plan. We find that the larval forms actually have bilateral symmetry like some of the other organisms in the other phyla we've studied so far, but we find that the adults actually have what's called pentaradial or 5-part symmetry. Now, this is a very important symmetrical component for them because what the symmetry pattern does is it allows them to sense food and predators from all different directions as they are in the aquatic environments. Another good feature of echinoderms is that they are capable of extensive regeneration. As you probably know, sea stars, if they were to lose a limb or it was to become detached, that they were able to regenerate that limb. Now, the basic body plan of the echinoderms, in particular, let's say the sea star, you see they have what's called an aboral surface, or we may refer to it simply as the dorsal surface or the backside. You see the anus is here, and also the madreporium, which we will discuss in a little bit when we actually get into the water vascular system. And then there's also an oral or ventral surface, which people also call the belly side, where the mouth and the 2 feet are located. Now, a very important component to the echinoderm body plan is the water vascular system. Now, this basically is a network of water-filled canals that help with movement and feeding. As you see here, the underside, this is actually the dorsal view, but on the belly side, the underside, there are lots of 2 feet in all 5 limbs of the sea star that we see here. Now, the 2 feet are very hollow and have suction cups on the end. So you see like little balloon structures with these little suction cups here. Now, the 2 feet function independently of each other, and the animal actually moves by alternately pushing out and pulling in the 2 feet. So, in a nutshell, what happens? Water enters this madreporium, which I mentioned a few moments ago, and then it circulates around the ring canal. The water then makes its way into the radial canals in all 5 limbs. The water, once it enters each 2 foot, will create pressure such that the 2 feet will then elongate and then attach to the ocean floor, which allows the animal to move. Once the water leaves the 2 feet, the 2 feet will retract and then the animal is now sessile once again. Now, the 2 feet also will aid the actual organism in gas exchange as well as with some types of excretion. Now, all echinoderms have a mouth, a stomach, and intestines, but the way they actually obtain their food depends on the class of organisms. As I have listed here, the sea stars are carnivorous, which means they eat mostly meat, and they feast on worms and clams. The sea urchins, on the other hand, are herbivorous, which means they're mostly plant eating and they feed on algae. And the brittle stars and sea cucumbers are the decomposers, feeding on dead and decaying matter. The nervous system in the echinoderms is quite simple. There is no head or brain presence, which means there's no thinking functions going on. However, they do have a central nerve ring, as you see is illustrated here, and the central nerve ring actually connects to radial nerves in all 5 limbs. And then, of course, they have eye spots that detect light intensity, and then sea stars even have chemical receptors on their feet. Now, as we discussed in class, the sea cucumber is capable of regeneration. Now, it's not the same regeneration as we see in the sea star, but the sea cucumber's regenerative ability is very important in its defense and protection. If a predator is after a sea cucumber, the sea cucumber has the unique ability to expel its internal components. Those internal components then become attractive, if you will, to the predator, and the predator will feed on what has been expelled versus the sea cucumber. Now, this allows the sea cucumber to escape from its predator, and whatever has been expelled from the sea cucumber's body, the sea cucumber has the unique ability to actually regenerate those lost parts, which is pretty neat. Now, if you click the link above here that says The Great Moment in Geekdom, you will actually see where a sea star that has been placed in water flips over by itself from its ventral side to its dorsal side. It's not quite 2 minutes, but you should actually check the video out. It's really neat. I think you will enjoy it. Now, to round out our discussion of invertebrates, we must consider one more group of organisms, the phylum Chordata, because what we actually find is that there are 2 subphyla in phylum Chordata that are actually invertebrates. Now, there are 4 hallmark features of the chordates. All chordates have a hollow nerve cord. They have a nodal cord, as I have posted here on the slide. They also have pharyngeal pouches, which are in the throat area, and they may actually develop into gills. And the chordates also have a tail that extends beyond the anus. So again, there are 4 hallmark features of the chordates: a dorsal hollow nerve cord, the presence of a nodal cord, the pharyngeal pouches that may develop into gills, and a tail that extends beyond the anus. Now, all members of phylum Chordata are chordates, and as I mentioned, the nodal cord that you see here is actually the precursor to the nerve cord that's present in embryos. Now, if the nerve cord is lost as an adult, that means the organism is a chordate. And if you actually keep it and it becomes a backbone, you then become a vertebrate, which we will actually discuss vertebrates in the next lesson, 4-1. Now, most chordates, about 96% of them, are vertebrates. However, as I mentioned, there are 2 subphyla that are invertebrates. One of these subphyla of organisms are the tunicates, and the representative organism of the tunicates is a sea squirt. Now, sea squirts are filter feeders, and they are sessile, which you should remember what sessile creatures are and what filter feeders are, because we discussed this when we talked about phylum Porifera, or the sponges. Now, we find that only the larval forms of the tunicates, or the sea squirts, actually have the nodal cord during early development. But when it becomes an adult, the nerve cord, the nodal cord is now absent. Now, you have enough information to complete homework 3-6. Of course, as always, if you have any questions, I'm available during flex and tutorial, and we can also discuss it in class. I look forward to our discussion of vertebrates, which starts in about 1 more class period. Have a great one.